Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano. Today I have another Battle of the Bottles coming at you. If you are not familiar with this segment, I am a Whiskey Promiscuous channel, and I ended up putting a whole bunch of different samples together for some reason or another, kind of a matchup that would be a little bit interesting for viewers to watch. I randomly selected it from my sample pool. I have them stickered here on the bottom. What I'm going to end up doing is nosing them and tasting them, giving you my thoughts on what they could possibly be, giving my thoughts on which one I like more than the other and why. And then I'm going to reveal myself at the very end of the video what it is that I've been drinking and which one I actually like the most. If you are new to the channel and you watch this and you end up liking what I'm doing, if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on because I produce videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I also have a continuous monthly giveaway happening. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there are a bunch of rules in the description below. Go ahead and read through those. All right, you know what? I've always been going to the sample on my right. Let me go ahead and start with the sample on my left. All right, here we go. On the nose. Green grapes. Red grapes. Grape forward. A little bit of a proof note. I mean, it's stinging the nose a little, so maybe it's a little higher proof. It is very sweet. Cherry, red grape, green grape. It's very fruity. It's coming across to me as a bourbon. Tell you what, it smells really good. A little bit oak is coming through as well. I think I've mentioned this before. Every once in a while, an oak, sweet oak, will come through on the nose. It's almost as if the wood itself has been soaking in sugar, brown sugar, and that's what I'm getting. Sweet oak with some age. Cherry, grape, red apple, green grape, vanilla brown sugar, caramel, everything. This smells really good. Let me go ahead and get it on the palate. Cheers, everybody. All right, on the palate, it's oaky, it's cherry, typical bourbon notes, heavy on the vanilla, balanced really well with some spice. That spice would be a cinnamon spice, like Christmas spices, maybe a little bit of anise in there, allspice, Christmas cake or fruit cake, all of those sweet mixed dried fruits that are in a fruit cake or a Christmas cake, whatever you want to call it, that's all in here. And as far as the finish goes, I've mentioned this also multiple times. I like bitter oak notes that reach a certain point and they don't go up over the top. And I think this is getting right to that point where that oak, the sweet oak, is providing a little bit of a bitterness that's a good balance to the sweet. And it's also kind of riding along with the spice as well. Whatever this is oaky. I think there's a little bit of an age component to this. There's got a tremendous amount of depth of flavor, and the concentration of notes of a typical bourbon are there. They're just elevated. I don't think you get a whole lot of notes with bourbon, but I think what distinguishes the difference between a good bourbon and an okay bourbon is the intensity of those typical notes. And I think this has that elevated aspect to it. It's really good. All right, let me go ahead and get a rinse of water and then move on to a glass number 2. All right, if glass number 2 is anything at all like glass number 1, I think we're going to be in store for a very good bottle of the battles, or the battle of the bottles. I always get confused on that. Ooh, man. All right, so if this had a little bit of a cherry note coming through, this is cherry on steroids. That's very powerful, very cherry forward. Lots of cinnamon. Again, some pretty good sweet oak notes. A log soaked in sugar. If you were to actually extract that smell, that's what I'm getting here. Yeah, my mouth is absolutely watering like crazy. I think we're in store for a pretty good battle here. All right, I can't wait. Let's get this one on the palate. Glass number 2 is much more spice forward than glass number 1. There is still that cherry note, a sugar-soaked log Very oaky, very spice forward. It's not as sweet as glass number 1, that is for sure. And if you know me, you know what's coming. I think this is more spice than it is sweet, and it's not as balanced as glass number 1. It's still very good, and I'm getting a little bit of ethanol vapors, ethanol notes. When I took that sip, the alcohol hit my tongue and evaporated, and then as I inhaled a whole bunch of alcohol fumes, and I'm not digging that. Maybe it just has something to do with how I'm breathing at the moment, but that wasn't pleasant. But all of the flavors that are in here are still very concentrated. There is a depth to both of these that I think is indicative of age and something that is well put together. I'm not getting any kind of crafty notes on here, so I think this might be like big boy distillery territory that we're looking at. And yeah, there is a leathery chocolate kind of note that's coming through on the nose as well. But yeah, these are both really good. Let me get a glass of water, rinse my palate, and then go back the other direction. Sometimes when you go back the other direction, they play off of each other a little bit different. Right now, front runner is glass number 1. Trailing slightly behind is glass number 2. But you never can tell how it's going to play going back the other direction. So let me get some water and then retaste both of these. All right, let me go ahead and get back to glass number 2. Tell you what, these are both very enjoyable. It's a powerhouse matchup, that's for sure. Spicy, cherry forward kind of experience here on the nose. Well, smells absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I'm gushing over both of these. Let me go and get it on the palate. Second sip, there's more oak coming through than it did originally. I'm still getting brown sugar, vanilla, caramel. The intensity of all those notes are there. It is spicy. The more that I'm letting this linger, that evaporative alcohol note is happening again. It just feels like it's evaporating off of my tongue. And as I'm breathing, the fumes are going down. And that's a little bit concerning. But the notes that are coming through that are just kind of sticking to every part of my mouth is dense and concentrated. Cherry, sweet oak, cinnamon, pretty spicy as like a peppery spice, and a dusty peanut butter or peanut shell note. That's really good. All right, I think we're in trouble here because they're both good, but completely different. Let me get a rinse of water and move back to glass number 1. All right, back to glass 1. Ooh, rich caramel, rich vanilla, dark brown sugar, oaky, cherry, red grape, green grape. This is more fruity than glass number 2. Much sweeter on the palate and on the nose than glass number 2. All right, let's get it on the palate. Again, second sip, glass number 1. There's a tremendous amount of sweet oak coming through. All the sweet notes that are there, the vanilla, the caramel, the brown sugar. I think we're dealing with pretty high aged, and I think these are bourbons. I think we're dealing with some pretty high aged bourbon here. They just come across as dense and concentrated, and I think that's what aged bourbon comes through as, at least on my palate. All of those fruity notes are still there. Combination of green grapes, red grapes, cherry, dark brown sugar. Wow, this is going to be very difficult. You know what? Back to back. Yeah, this is spice forward. This is fruit forward. And I think that fruitiness of glass number 1 is also transferring to the palate. And the spiciness is transferring the palate on glass number 2. This is a toss-up based on, I can reach for both of these. Based on whether I'm looking for a more sweet pour, I would go with this. A little bit more of a spice pour, I would go with this. But I have to make a decision. Which one would I go for? Today, right now, I'm leaning a little bit more towards 1. I think I'm leaning more towards a sweet than a spice. But you know what? That spice that is lingering, I'm going to go with glass number 1. And the only reason why, because it just, started running through my head again. the evaporative effect of the alcohol on my tongue today for this review, this is going to knock this down to number 2. They are both very good. So with that, if you have had either one of these, let me know in the comments down below what you think of them. If you've ever put these up in a blind, which one came out on top? Stick around to the very end because I will be doing a blend of both of these and seeing how they are. But let's go ahead and figure out what it is that I've been drinking. Glass number 1 is my favorite, but it's not saying much because glass number 2 is right there as well. So glass number 2 is going to be, I should probably tell you, I think they're both bourbons, and I think they are probably about 110. I would say 110, 120, somewhere around there. So glass number 2 was Russell's 13. Russell's 13 is coming in second place. What the heck do I have this up against? Well, I have it right here. Let me look. And this is Baker's 13. Holy cow. Okay, this was a pretty heavy-duty matchup. In my head, I would think that Russell's 13 would come out on top because I thought Baker's 13 had a little bit more spice. So this is completely flip-flopped on the tasting from what I thought it was going to happen in real life. Let me grab the bottles really quick because I need to refresh my memory on the proof and the price. I think they're both pretty expensive, and I think they might be somewhere around 110. I'm not positive. Let me grab the bottles. I'll be right back. All right. Man, I tell you what, this was a wild matchup to say the least. So Russell's Reserve 13, this is the 2024 release. 13 years of age, I ended up paying $154.99. Or was it 2023? I can't remember. And then Baker's 13, this is a single barrel, and it's $131.99. Last year, during Stuff and Whiskey's To Write Love on Her Arm, their charity fundraiser, I donated one of these bottles, and I just recently went into Total Wine and actually picked up a bottle of this, and their charity event is coming up in October again. I've donated quite a few bottles to their fundraiser. I highly encourage you, if you watch Stuff and Whiskey, or if you don't, I highly encourage you to go over to their channel. They do a charity fundraiser every October, and it deals with mental health, and they have a charity, To Write Love on Her Arms. That charity supports the mental health aspect across the board, all ages, all groups, all types of people. So if you are interested in supporting their channel, they're always looking for bottle donations. I encourage you to go over there and take a look. I think it's stuffandwhiskey@gmail.com or something like that. You can actually find their email and you can send a request to them about a bottle that you would like to donate. If you end up donating a bottle, hang on to it during the giveaway. They will put you in contact with the person that won the bottle, and then you can deal with the shipment however you need to. So yeah, this was a very good matchup. As far as ages go, obviously I put it together because it is 13 years of age, but it is a single barrel up against a batched product. We're looking at 114.8 proof for the Russell, and we're looking at 107 proof for the Bakers. That was an interesting matchup. And again, I'm shocked. Well, actually, I wouldn't say that I'm shocked. Russell's 13, I like, but every time I put it into a head-to-head or some sort of blind matchup, it doesn't fare very well. So I guess that's on par, but when I have this by itself, knowing what it is, I think I like it maybe a little bit more than I should. So last thing left to do is do a little bit of a blend here. I have a little bit more of the Baker's 13, so hopefully I put in the right amount here. This is cherry and caramel. Smells fantastic. That oak note is coming through, but I'm not getting any of the grape notes. Not a whole lot of spice. I mean, it smells good. It smells like a typical bourbon. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. All right, so on the palate, there is a burst of red fruit. Cherry, strawberry, raspberries, very sweet. It sweeps across the palate. That oak note starts to set in mid-palate. It's a good combination. It's a good blend. I wouldn't say that I would actually take both of these or either of these to specifically do a blend. I would drink them by themselves and not blend them, but there's nothing wrong with that blend. So if you are not a fan of either one of these, but you have both and you want to extend the length or the life of one of the bottles, maybe do a little bit of a blend because it is good. I wouldn't discount it. All right, so that is where I'm going to leave it. Wherever you are at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it, and we'll talk to everybody later. Bye.